Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Nicole Warschauer, and I'm HealthEquity's VP of Brand. And we're so excited to welcome you to the second episode of the Benefits Innovation Lab. By the end of this episode, you should know the steps to set up an AI committee or an AI council, and the first couple steps you should think about to get started to working with one. First up, wanted to introduce my co-hosts with me today. I'm here with Jess Cloud and Nick Dobrik. Jess, can you kick us off? Tell us about yourself and your current role, please.
Hey, thanks, Nicole. Jess Cloud here, Vice President of IT Operations, and I'm so excited about our topic today, discussing the AI Committee. I think we're just peeling back one layer of the onion here and really diving into how to be successful and use AI for your organization's success.
Hey, everyone. Nick Dobrik, Vice President of IT Architecture, and I'll take this opportunity while I have the microphone just to level set. Why are we doing this? And why do you want to set up some sort of committee or council in your environment? And really it's to define a purpose for AI. It's to bring together diverse expertise. It's about creating structured policies and ensuring that there is ongoing monitoring and accountability at all different kinds of levels. When you do this and you do it correctly and you're engaged on the matter, you're going to minimize risk. You're going to comply with regulations that are seemingly changing every day in the AI space. You're going to foster ethical AI use naturally, but most importantly, you're going to maximize the strategic value of AI in your environment across the business.
Awesome. Thank you both. So first, can you both tell us, and the listeners, I should say, about how you two work together?
That's a great question, Nicole. And, I think any kind of IT operation really needs two balanced sides of the equation. So where Nick provides a lot of governance and stability, I'm always looking to reinvent the wheel a little bit and see how we can do process improvement.
Yeah, we're quite the dynamic duo, and we join up under one banner, and that's innovation, right? And emerging technologies, AI being one of them. So one hand doesn't work without the other, as far as I see it.
So Jess, it's time. Can you tee up the main program?
Absolutely. So excited to be talking about our topic today. We've talked already about the right employee benefit problems to solve with AI. Now let's talk practically about how we do that. So in this episode, we'll cover one of those most important steps of getting started with AI, and that's creating an AI governance committee. And you know what's critical about creating the AI governance committee? Making sure that we have the key representatives from across all of the company. We'll talk about that as well today. Now, while AI is gaining momentum in benefits administration, AI governance is very new to the scene with a lot of potential to help organizations get stronger. We at HealthEquity have an AI governance committee, and we'll continue to mature our process as well. So you may have governance teams at your company that have a similar structure to AI governance committee. So you may be further along in steps 1 and 2 than you actually think. Here's a key tidbit as we dive deep into our conversation today. Less than a fifth of all companies will have an AI governance committee by 2025. So let's ensure that your organization is set up for success going into the new year.
Thanks, Jess. So let's just say I run a benefits team at a mid-sized organization. Can you tell me why I need something as sophisticated as an AI committee? Isn't this a discussion I'll have internally with my team and maybe a couple folks in the finance department?
So what you want to do is you want to think about it as a guardrail set up so you can innovate. It's to ensure that your AI solutions and your best ideas are done responsibly, ethically, and within the organizational goals, as well as legal counsel, right? So as you approach this, it's their job to ensure that your ideas can hit the pavement and actually add value, and not put the burden on you and the risk and the worry about what AI can do. So they're there on your side to make sure that all of these dots are connected.
Hey, Nick, I'm curious, who do you think should be involved in this committee?
So as always, you want a diverse group of stakeholders, from your C-suite to your data scientists, to your IT and security, legal counsel, all across the board. And that's to ensure that all the spaces are covered, right? I'd say that is your first step, is to get those people involved. So everybody's requirements are gathered in one centralized location. So it could become a principle-based approach to how you deploy AI.
So Nick, you and I know how important it is to get your legal counsel in lockstep with you as you go and enter into this AI committee for your great idea. But talk us about your experience and maybe some tips and tricks for our listeners to take that away for them.
Yeah, I would say that the way we approached it here is that, your legal counsel is there from the start, right? Let the experts be the experts, and they will be there to help you, understand what you're getting into from their perspective, and help you navigate those waters as you reach completion of your project.
So these are all people with really deep knowledge on tech and compliance. And again, we're playing pretend here. As a benefits leader, I've been educating myself about the potential of AI, but I'm no means a tech expert. Will I need a, quote, tech translator to be able to work with an AI committee?
I love the term tech translator. I may steal that in the future opportunities. So what my answer is, no, you don't need a tech translator because the AI committee is geared around solving business problems. Ultimately, you want to make sure that the technology that's being reviewed or being proposed is going to give capabilities to the business that will reach your business goals.
Yeah, it's always it comes up a lot, and my answer is don't worry about that stuff. The people on the governance council will help you. Your job is to get your best idea out there. And if you're seeing a process that can be improved by AI, that's the high order bid for you. Bring it to them and work together. It's a collaborative effort. And if you need a translator, they will be there. And if you don't, then they won't. And it's about getting the idea out the door. That's it. That's your only thing to worry about.
That's a great transition to our next topic. You'll definitely feel more comfortable working with the AI committee once you understand what they actually do and what value they provide. So Nick, we have you here as our resident expert around AI committee. Can you talk us a little bit about setting it up and the values the AI committee provides?
Yeah, so a few things here that come to mind. So setting up the committee involves obviously defining its purpose, bringing together diverse expertise around the topic, creating the structured policies, and ensuring that ongoing monitoring and accountability is in place, right? The same reasons you would want to have in any committee. So by implementing this, you're basically minimizing your risk. You're complying with regulations, which seemingly are changing day over day in this space. You're fostering ethical AI use naturally, and you're maximizing the strategic value of AI initiatives throughout your enterprise.
Nick, you mentioned a lot of different viewpoints when it comes to setting up and really finding the values within an AI committee or a council, if you will. And something that you and I have talked about in the past with prior projects that we've worked on between your group and mine in marketing is about these frameworks that are already existing in the ecosystem in HealthEquity, for an example. And it's really comforting, I think, for someone who's not in technology to say, hey, we've kind of done this before in these other ways. Let's use these frameworks and reuse. Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I think that would be really helpful for the listeners and viewers to hear from you.
Yeah, so there's a good chance in your enterprise there's already a committee or council for security, for data, for risk and compliance. You're not reinventing the wheel, and you're following those patterns. So you're not starting at ground zero, per se, with an AI committee or council of some kind. Your job is to look to those already in place systems and reuse them. And you're just going to put the top layer of AI and manage to those different requirements. But that team, there's going to be familiar faces, names that you've likely already worked with at some point. They're going to be there as well. So don't think of it as an overwhelming task, like, oh, I have to go in and now I'm going to rebuild this entire new structure from the ground up. You would be smart about it and reuse a lot of things that are already in your enterprise.
Thanks so much for sharing that. So let's talk about practical examples. Again, we're playing pretend. As a benefits leader, I'm in the middle, as many of them are right now, of open enrollment. And I'm seeing that some employees are maybe feeling stressed or uncertain about their choices. And we actually know this, according to a study we did at HealthEquity this year in 2024, that more than a quarter of employees say that choosing a plan is stressful, and 1 in 10 say they aren't confident they picked the right one. So based on that, I might get the idea to create a chatbot, for example, based on our company's benefits handbook. We all know those can be pretty complex. So that way employees can ask questions and get personalized answers immediately. So imagine I think of that idea and I say, all right, I've got this great idea. How should I, as a benefits leader, approach the AI committee for a project like this? What information will I need to have at the ready to provide? And what questions should I be prepared to answer?
I'd say the biggest first step you do is like see if there's something that already exists in this space. Possibly there's a tool out there that has been socialized to solve this problem for you, and then bring in a partner, right? It's more often than not that it's going to be in the IT organization or the technology organization. In this case, it wouldn't hurt to bring somebody into the finance organization because, you have to pay for the tool and build it. And so I think getting along early adoption from your organization with a real hands-on demo of how it's worked well, either with a vendor or another industry example, I think would be a really great starting point.
Nick, anything to add there, since you and I worked on some recent projects in similar vein?
I think it's a good topic to bring up, and it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about getting your idea out there. The way we do it here at HealthEquity is we actually maintain an inventory of the available AI tools that can be used. And the job there is to show you that those capabilities might already be there and they're on the shelf, approved and governed already, and you can just grab them and run with them. And that's kind of what we did, Nicole, on the project that we worked on. So I would emphasize the fact that a benefit to this council or committee, how you set it up, is to have that capability list. So when the ideas come your way, the requester or the person who wants to do this is aware that there's tools that are already in the environment that they can take advantage of. That is key. And we've seen that help us here at HealthEquity. And the project, Nicole, that you're talking about, there was basically no onboarding of a new tool for us to succeed there because we were ahead of the game and the capability was inventoried. We were able to pull it off the shelf and get to work.
It was super simple in terms of getting it started, as you would say. All right, so speaking of examples to get that AI approval from the AI committee or council, we know from listening to folks who are connecting with this program that they really want examples. And so one of the things that we thought would be really helpful would be to walk through just that, walk through an illustrative example of what you may submit to your AI committee for approval or for review. And Jess, I know you've done a lot of these. And so if you wouldn't mind being my tech translator, so to speak, that would be so helpful. Anything you want to add before we give it a go?
No, you're right. This can be sometimes a critical first step to organizing your thoughts and just making sure that you're communicating with what's the project really going to accomplish. So excited to walk through this, Nicole. Let's get started.
Awesome. So for those who are watching/listening, my answers are going to be probably shorter than yours will be, but at least we'll give you an illustrative example of what you might be putting in here. So first up, let's think about the example we just gave. So it's going to be the employee benefits handbook AI tool. And again, you'll probably have much more creative names than this, but this is what we'll start with. So Jess, when it comes to an executive sponsor here, if we're looking for an executive sponsor responsible for this AI use case, who would you recommend? Like, who would be the right person to go to here for this example?
You know what? I'm a big believer in having a partnership approach to these executive sponsors. So one would naturally say chief people officer or chief information officer. I think it should be both, right? One has the vision and one needs to execute. So let's put both in this example.
Awesome. Great, we got them both. And so let's do a couple maybe fragments or sentences about the project description. What are we solving here? And so maybe the problem that's being solved with this project is that the employee benefits handbook is complex and long. We want our employees to get answers quickly and efficiently. We've got, is this obviously an internal use only?
Good call out.
All right. I think that does it. Again, for those who are watching or listening, by all means, add more. I think normally I'm less is more, but I think more is more in this example because you, as the benefits administrator, are closest to the problem. So you're going to be able to illustrate the solution the most clearly. So let's talk about the benefits. How does this AI initiative align with the strategic goals of the company? So let's say you care very much about your employees, as we assume all chief people officers do, and also benefit administrators do. And so I imagine one of the benefits is getting employees the answers they need to best understand and utilize their benefits. What do you think, Jess?
I think utilization, enrollment, all these buzzwords certainly hit the mark here. So great job, Nicole.
Okay, awesome. I'll just keep going. All right, how about some risks? Will this AI project generate responses that may directly impact the following? So we've got things on like automating decisions, interfacing with external business audiences, or changes to the company financial outcomes. I don't see risks in these areas, but Jess, I might be missing some. What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I think this is so valuable to start conversations. So folks will want to know, what would be the error threshold for these answers? Are we saying 95%, 100%? I know that we see here for the benefits handbook, I think we would want to be very transparent to say, we need to have a disclaimer to say, if you need finalization or confirmation, please reach out to your people partner. So this is just a tool to help them get quick information for simple queries. It's not meant to make business decisions on the behalf of the people team.
Yeah, especially when it comes to healthcare and benefits, the people part is really critical. I know we talk about that with AI in general, that the people and the outcome matter. They matter so much. And this is just an effort of that. Okay. How about the technology solution? Has the AI technology been identified, or do you need assistance in selecting the right solution? So this is more of the obviously technical question. I don't have a technology solution, but this could be potentially something like Bard or ChatGPT or Gemini, is some other AI tech option, right, Jess?
That's right. And so obviously I'm partial to this question, but this is where the CIO or your IT partners can really help craft up a capability assessment so that you're choosing the right tool to solve the problems and benefits that you expect. So in this example, let's just say, need help from our AT partners.
I'll say best fit, solution options. I'll say need evaluation. And then lastly, data protection. Will employee data be used for the tool to be successful? If so, are there data protection measures to secure it? Is there a workaround? This is such a good question. I don't imagine employees plugging in their data to get a better understanding of their benefits, but that could happen. And so what do you think here? What would be some items to consider as answering this piece of the approval sheet, Jess?
Yeah, and I like that this question's being called out because it is such a conversation starter. In this example, I think we feel confident that we're using existing business policies to query upon, not necessarily specific employee information. So we're covered, but it's also good to have documented that we've thought through this and no, it's not applicable.
Yep. Okay, great. Then we covered it. Again, for those who are listening and watching, I think this is something, just to give you an example, you by all means have much more robust solutioning that you could be including in here and more detailed conversation to have, as Jess has shared. And with that, we're going to give you a resource in the resources section within this conversation. And we're going to move on to questions. All right, y'all, we've had some questions come in. What are some of the ideas or projects that benefit leaders are approaching AI committees?
I do think there's a lot of buzz around efficiency. How can my teammates not do as much administration work and fill out spreadsheets? And how can that be automated and really give us insights into our business decisions? That's probably one of the big ones. What do you see, Nick?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think it's really about taking the repeatable behavior that we do every day and allowing those teammates to focus their time on higher level objectives that might add more value. So the automation, the intelligence that you would get with artificial intelligence, to apply that, kind of take it with precision and look at business process by business process, you'll start to see the value increase immensely over time.
So this one is near and dear to my heart. What considerations does the AI committee weigh when they're reviewing new proposals? How can I make sure my requests for the benefits team are seen as valuable? Basically, how do I grease the wheels with the AI committee?
I like the term "grease the wheels," and we like to say it's a principle-based committee, so the system should do its job and be an enabler for all great ideas that add value. But there's areas you have to consider. There's risk management, there's regulatory compliance, the things I mentioned earlier. There's the ethical AI use, reducing bias and all the things that go inside of that. There's the alignment to business objectives, which I think would apply the most to you as an entrant to the committee, to say, hey, here's my idea, but not only here's my idea, here's how I'm going to align it to the company's mission and add value on X, Y, and Z day, right? And then lastly, I mentioned it earlier, is the accountability and oversight. I would say 80% of what I just listed will be handled by your AI committee or council. Again, emphasis on getting your idea in there. You tie it to the business objective, you find the value as a leader or an administrator, and work with the team and say, here's what I got, let's get to work.
In my experience, I think bringing anything to the AI committee can be daunting when you're new to this process. However, I do think if you feel strongly and passionate about the project, it should be apparent. Like making sure that you've maybe prefaced some side conversations before going into the AI committee. Maybe there's a legal risk that you want to talk through with legal before going into the committee, so that you have joint buy-in and have partnership from those groups to say a resounding echo, yes, this initiative will be successful, it will provide impact. And so you kind of have like your own little team going into that AI committee with you.
There's a quote that I live by, and it holds true here, is you're never going to look back and regret a good idea.
And I'll add to that too, just from someone who's outside of tech, feeling comforted to go with those ideas when you are closest to the problem and potentially this could be a solution, I think is really helpful. And that what Nick shared, like everyone's got a great idea. You just have to formulate it in a way that's going to be impactful, as Jess said, and really, hearken to those outcomes that you're looking for. So last question, AI is only as good as the data it's using. Isn't that true? What can the AI committee do to ensure the data we use is accurate and will provide real useful insights?
You want your data teams to be aware of all the use cases out there, not only for AI, but any solution that powers your environment. But it's also the job of the data teams to be working with the governance committee or council on ensuring that data is treated as a product and it's an asset that you can use and quickly adopt when you have a solution like this.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, you hit the nail on the head. I would say I'd only add is there's a possibility that your AI use case that you bring forth uncovers some requests from the data team, right? And so the way that you could get around that is to maybe extract the last couple of months, manipulate the data with the most accurate information so that you do have a true set to do a pilot on to show the value for our AI use case. More often than not, data can be a blocker if it's not an accurate amount of data, but you don't want to go into that with that mindset. You want to say, okay, I've heard from this webcast of ideas on how to get around that and to move forward with my AI use case so that you can utilize and add value around that.
Thank you both. Such wealths of wisdom. So that's it for today. Thanks so much to all of you for joining our second episode. We'd love to know what next steps you plan to take. You can choose any of the options that are relevant to you. A, you can register for a future Benefits Innovation Lab episode. You can choose an area in your benefits to improve through AI. You can keep learning about AI, and you can speak to someone at HealthEquity about innovative benefits. Our goal with this episode was to help you understand the steps to setting up an AI committee and the first steps for you to get started. And as we've said in previous episodes, we want to hear from you and stay connected on this journey, and we have 3 ways for you to do so. You can subscribe to our blog at blog.healthequity.com to see more content related to AI and innovation. And be sure to keep a lookout for the next month's webcast as we do a deeper dive into how to improve employee benefits self-service with AI. Again, we're so appreciative that you're joining the conversation, and we really hope that you're going to join us next month. Huge thanks, as always, to my friend Jess Cloud and my friend Nick Dobrik for their wise words and their thoughtful contributions. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.